Sophia Horton, Reed Justice, Shaylee Clinton, Kylie Miller, Clayton Lunier, Taylor Harkey, Jacob Young, Miriam Hoffman, Sean Welch, and Eliza Petrie. You may be seated. Delegates, please listen carefully to each candidate's remarks and give them your full attention and respect. I would also like to remind the candidates that they must remain on stage. You are not allowed to go downstairs. Each candidate is allowed a 3-minute maximum time for their first speech. If the candidate exceeds those 3 minutes, the microphone will be shut off. I will stand at 2 minutes and 30 seconds and walk forward when there are only 10 seconds remaining. Ushers, please close the doors to the convention hall and do not allow anyone to enter or leave during the candidates' speeches. I will start the timer once you begin. Our first candidate is Sophia Horton.
Illinois FFA members, picture the typical grandma. I'm talking about a short little old lady with big, white, perfectly permed hair and bright red lipstick. Hold the picture of this grandma right in the front of your mind. Now, picture this grandma strapping on a harness, boarding a plane, and when that plane reaches 13,000 feet above the earth, she turns and looks at you, gives you a thumbs up, and jumps right out of that plane. Sounds like a wild idea, doesn't it? I know that when I think of either one of my two grandmas, I can't imagine them going skydiving. But in 2016, a 95-year-old grandmother and YouTube sensation named Betty Butler took a trip to Indianapolis and conquered this bucket list item, skydiving. Now, you could say that Betty was bold because she did something out of the ordinary. But I think that there is so much more to the story of being bold. Our skydiving grandma Betty also followed what I call the 4 steps to being bold. Step 1, Betty began. Rather than just talking about what she wanted to do or wishing that she could do it, she took the first step and actually began. Step 2, Betty owned it. And I think we can all agree that she did it pretty well. She owned the fact that she was 95 years old and celebrated that that's what made her experience unique and memorable, rather than listening to all the people who might have pointed that out as a flaw. Step 3, Betty led by example. Not only was she the first one to jump out of the plane that day and go skydiving, but she also shows us that when we are bold, we can conquer anything. Step 4, and last but not least, Betty dedicated herself. She dedicated herself to following through on her goal with 100% effort until it had been achieved. Betty began, Betty owned it, Betty led by example, and Betty dedicated herself. Illinois FFA members, when we follow those BOLD, 4 steps to being bold, we can have a positive, profound, and lasting impact on our chapters, on our communities, and on the world around us. For me, this next year, it's about beginning to discover new opportunities that improve our organization. It's owning the qualities and traditions of FFA. It's leading by setting a positive example for those who will be our future leaders. And it's dedicating myself to the over 18,000 Illinois FFA members and the things that you will succeed in. My name is Sophia Horton, and it would be both an honor and a privilege to have this bold impact on Illinois FFA as your next state president. Thank you.
Our next candidate for state FFA president is Reed Justice.
In a field with millions of corn stalks, where will each ear of corn end up? Feeding cattle in Nebraska? Working as ethanol in New Jersey? Frying food in New Mexico? Or working in new ways beyond our borders? That is an amazing future for a crop yet to be determined. Yet, without all the hard work, man hours, and ingenuity brought to the table by farmers, engineers, manufacturers, and so many others. How could we have ever dreamed the idea of literally making food into fuel and then set that idea into motion? It takes the combined efforts of all to take an idea, discover its true potential, and then implement that into action. In the wise words of one of our former United States presidents, it's only when you hitch your wagon to something larger than yourself that you discover your true potential. The key to working in a functional and dynamic team as a leader is to discover others' strengths and weaknesses, and then comprehensively using that knowledge to forge out a well-rounded team. It takes all ideas, mindsets, and ways of thinking to create and run functional events that are tailored to our members' needs and wants. You will never understand the true impact that you can have unless you have people around you that can nurture and encourage your true potential to grow. And that's what I plan to do, both in my fellow officers and the members of Illinois FFA. Just like each of those ears of corn in a field, when we are done growing here, we too will go off in our own separate directions and start making our own impacts in different ways. But also, just like each of those ears of corn, we all sprouted and bloomed in the same piece of ground, which makes up the foundation of who we are. One ear of corn cannot feed a cow, fuel a car, or cook food alone. But collectively, a field can do all of that and so much more. You just have to see the possibilities. I look forward to discovering those possibilities in every member, chapter, and section in Illinois, making your foundation a little stronger and seeing how you will make agriculture and the FFA prosper for the next 90 years. Elect me, Reed Jostis, as your Illinois Association FFA State President. Thank you.
Our next candidate is Ms. Shaylee Clinton.
I'd like to think I look a little like Batman, just without the muscles, height, and money. No matter, I am still obsessed with superheroes. From Marvel to DC, I could spend hours watching superhero movies. But let's focus on my favorite superhero, Batman. No superpowers, just a man with a passion for serving others. When we think about it, Batman is the perfect example of servant leadership. Like the Dark Knight himself, a servant leader is someone who puts others first, someone that we look up to. When we think about it, we all have a Batman. Mine is named Diana. I met Diana my freshman year. She was a senior and a chapter officer, but it wasn't until my first CDE I actually got to know her. You see, as a freshman, I thought I was big and bad. I was the first in my class to memorize the creed and recite it to Miss Rogier, winning a free FFA jacket and undoubtedly impressing her and Mr. Cabot. After, I was even asked to do the Ag Sales CDE. I was sure that if I could perfectly recite the creed, I could sell a GPS. That night, I showed up ready to rock the competition. I puffed my chest out, and I strutted into that presentation room. 2 minutes later, I walked out crying. The judge told me it was the worst presentation he's ever heard. Ouch. In that moment, I felt a little like Robin, especially compared to Batman Diana, who was there to witness my failure. I ran to the bathroom embarrassed and just wanting to quit. Thankfully, Batman was there to save the day. Diana told me it was okay to not be the best and that failures can be good. She said, "Don't quit FFA. You'll find where you fit here." She put me before herself that night and is the reason I didn't give up. Like Diana, I want to serve. Like the icon himself said, "This city needs me." Your state president should be someone willing and able to put over 18,000 others before themselves. A strong, selfless individual to teach how to overcome failures to achieve success. Thanks to my Batman Diana, I stand here today willing and able to be just that. As your state president, I will grow this organization by putting you first so you can develop and grow as a leader and advocate for agriculture. Elect me, Shaylee Clinton, as your state president so I can help you learn how you best serve others so you can be someone's Batman. Thank you.
Our next candidate is Ms. Kylie Miller.
Okay, so before the session, I placed a little tiny candle and a match underneath each of your chairs. So at this time, reach underneath your chair, untape it, and have it ready to go. Okay, those of you actually looking for a candle, I greatly appreciate you. But there are 5,000 people at this convention, and that's a lot of fire. That may have caused Illinois FFA to have to find a new convention hall. Because think about how powerful that is. That has a lot of potential, and that can leave an impact. However, it didn't require me to give you all a physical flame to know that you can light up this room with your passions, your talents, and your God-given abilities. And whether that spark in you is still waiting to be ignited, or it's already shining brighter than the sun, we can unite together as one team with a mission to help others. Illinois FFA, we can step up, stand out, and be the leaders that our nation needs. Picture this. If one person up in the balcony were to take out their phone and flip their flashlight on, that would break through the darkness, and that would impact every single one of us. So if one person can shine their light and impact 5,000 individuals, imagine the potential that 18,000 Illinois FFA members have when we come together with the mission and desire to help others. That has a lot of potential, and that can leave an impact. Illinois FFA, we will create better days through better ways, and together we will be the fuel that ignites the spark in others. It was once said, a candle loses nothing when lighting another candle. But the best thing that will happen is when you use your passions to ignite the spark in others, is you will be living to serve. Illinois FFA, allow me, Kylie Miller, to live to serve alongside all of you for the 2018-2019 year, and together we will let our light shine. Thank you.
Our next candidate is Mr. Clayton Blunier.
What is up, Illinois FFA? Who's excited to be here yet again at the Illinois State Convention? Woo! Yeah, that's right. Okay, so when I first sat down to start writing this speech, I asked myself two questions. What can I say to inspire, and what can I say to motivate? The more I thought about it, the more I realized I wasn't really focusing on what truly matters today. Now, I could stand up here, tell you countless stories that have motivated me to inspire you, make you want to laugh, cry, stand up and hoot and holler. But that's not really what today is about, is it? This is an opportunity for me to break down the strongholds and the walls that we constantly put up around ourselves to protect ourselves from things that we're scared of, things that make us uncomfortable, and protect ourselves from things we just don't want to do. As we go through life, we all follow a set of moral standards and rules, and all those quotes to live by on Pinterest and Facebook and Instagram. We set such high expectations and follow quotes like, if God closes a door, he opens a window. Or if God closes a door, look to the left, look to the right, and find the path you were meant to follow. Do we really want to go through life living that way? When we get shut out, when the door closes, do we just want to jump to another door or completely give up and try something else? When we do that, we're missing the true purpose of a door. It works both ways. If a door closes, we can open it again. When a door closes, you open it again. One of my other favorites that people tell me all the time is, Clayton, if you don't like your circumstances, just change them. Just change them. Oh, if only it were that simple. And I could walk around, and anytime I felt uncomfortable or I didn't like a situation, I would just snap my magic fingers, and everything would go back to being the way I wanted it to be. Life is not that easy. Life is not that simple. It takes constant hard work and motivation to overcome the daily challenges that we face, both in and out of FFA. When it comes down to it, we're all just a bunch of people walking around on a spinning ball, and we all want different things. We are all unique, and we are all trying to find our place. Illinois FFA, my name is Clayton Blunier, and I am motivated, willing, able, and ready to serve you as your next state president. Thank you.
Before we head on to the next delegate, I would like to remind all delegates to please turn off all cellular devices. Our next candidate for state FFA president is Ms. Taylor Hartke.
Tires on a vehicle, seasons of the year, legs on the chair, and me. Believe it or not, all of these things have something in common. They come in what some call a pack of four. Now, you may be wondering how I relate to a pack of four. Well, that's because I am one of what some refer to as the Hartke quadruplets, meaning I have three brothers that are exactly the same age, making life quite an interesting ride. Growing up in this four-pack has not always been the easiest, but it's allowed me to be on a team my entire life. Being the only girl and the youngest by a mere 1 minute, I quickly found myself paving my own path. That being said, there were numerous occasions, just like any group of siblings, where I was either the one being picked on or the one leading the team. I can recall one particular instance at the age of 2 where I successfully led my team in dialing and calling the numbers 911. Thankfully, we can look back and laugh now, but that probably wasn't one of my wisest decisions. Growing up in this four-pack has given me the opportunity to learn many valuable lessons, with the most important being the value of teamwork. When working on a team, you not only have the constant support of your teammates, but also the opportunity to accomplish more. These lessons are easily transferred into the ideals and beliefs of what our organization was built on, and can be seen throughout the FFA Creed and FFA motto. Each year, hundreds of Illinois FFA members state that they believe in leadership from ourselves and respect from others. Through learning and understanding this statement as a Greenhand FFA member, and from the many lessons I've learned with my siblings, I know that to be a successful leader and to accomplish anything on a team, you must first recognize the balance between being a leader and a follower. This balance can ultimately make or break a team. Growing up, there were numerous occasions on our quadruplet team where the balance was off, causing our adventures to be unsuccessful and leaving us with moments of just disappointment and failure. However, once we realized our goals, our path was set straight, leading us towards success. Illinois FFA, I have loved being on a team with my quadruplet brothers, for the most part. And when we do, we seem to get a lot more accomplished. But now I'm ready to be on your team. I am equipped with the knowledge and skills necessary to step up and be a leader on the state officer team, but I'm prepared to provide you with opportunities, ultimately serving as a member.
Candidate for state FFA president is Mr. Jacob Young.
Think about what you were doing on this day 4 years ago. I know that I can't even remotely remember. What about 3 years ago? I remember what I was doing. There's just something memorable about FFA elections. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting right where you are, watching 10 people give speeches that could potentially change their lives forever. Never did I think I would be up here doing the same thing. But here I am. However, I am not alone. Throughout the years, many people have had an impact on me that has molded me into the person and leader that I am today. Because of this impact, a piece of each of them is with me today. People like my advisor, Mr. McDermott, who took a chance on a shy, minimally active freshman by asking if he would like to attend state convention his freshman year. That single question, that small step, sparked a new passion that I never knew I had: leadership and FFA. Little did either of us know the impact that this would have. Mr. McDermott saw potential in me and pushed me out of my comfort zone to help me unlock that potential. When I thought I had done everything I could, he pushed me just a little bit farther. Illinois FFA, if you elected your state president, I want to push each of you just a little bit farther by helping to unlock leadership opportunities for all FFA members. The members of this organization have helped me to be here today. Whenever I put on this jacket, no matter if I'm working with the members of my chapter or section, I know that I am a part of something much bigger than myself. We are part of an organization that depends on students to be active leaders, that relies on students to be successful, and that supports students when we may fall short of the goals we had hoped to accomplish. In no other organization is it possible for a shy freshman to be pushed so far out of their comfort zone that they become someone they never thought was possible. In no other organization is it possible for someone to see the potential of another and to push them to unlock what they never knew they had. All the members that I have met over the past 3 years have helped me to be here today. Now, it is my turn to have an impact on you. Throughout the years, many people have pushed me to be here today. Because of this, I will never be alone. A piece of everyone who has believed in me, inspired me, and pushed me will be with me. I want a piece of me, Jacob Young, to be with every member of Illinois FFA as I believe in you, inspire you, and push you to unlock your full potential.
Our next candidate for State FFA President is Ms. Miriam Hoffman.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, there was a young man who didn't have any confidence in himself. But after hearing the wise words of a small Jedi Master, this man went on to literally change the galaxy. The wise words that made the difference: do or do not. There is no try. We might be living in the present, and definitely not in a galaxy far, far away, but I think Yoda can still teach us a few things. If we want to achieve greatness, we cannot live life half-heartedly. I have seen this truth lived out time and time again by countless members wearing these same blue jackets, and it has changed my life. When I first joined the FFA as a freshman, I was straight up terrified of talking to people, whether it was giving a speech or simply having a conversation with someone that I didn't know. But now here I am, giving speeches left and right, having countless conversations with people that I don't know, and I'm loving every minute of it. What on earth happened? It was January of 2015, and somehow I had been roped into competing in section creed speaking. There I was, palms sweating like nobody's business, waiting for my turn to present, when the section officers started talking to me and the other competitors. In that moment, I felt like I mattered, and maybe, just maybe, I could make a difference. Ever since then, I have continually sought to not just better myself as a leader, but to serve others along the way, no matter how much it scared me. At first, it was hard because I was incredibly shy, let me tell you. But because of the example set by older members before me
and from seeing my own impact on others, I have become the outgoing person that I am today. The Illinois FFA needs people like you and me to be bold in our actions in order to change the lives of each and every member across this state and to make our own dreams a reality. Are you willing to step out of your comfort zone and live life with confidence? Elect me, Miriam Hoffman, as your 2018-2019 State FFA President, and together, we will not simply try to achieve great things, because we, my friends, will do great things. Thank you.
Our next candidate for state president is Mr. Sean Welch.
I want to start this morning by asking a few questions. How many of you come from a third, fourth, even fifth generation family farm? How many of you couldn't tell the difference between a heifer and a steer? How many of you took an ag class because you knew you needed to learn the skills that you would use on the farm someday? How many of you took an ag class because you knew it'd be an easy A? Each and every one of us took a different path to get here today, but we're all here now for the same reason, because each and every one of us are leaders. My journey to this stage today may be a little different than that of the other candidates, but I have a feeling that a few of you might be able to relate. It was chapter banquet my freshman year. All of my friends were sitting at the table, having a good time, just laughing and having fun. And eventually, as time wore on, I began to get more and more nervous. It was about that time that it came for the seating of the new officers. The retiring officers stood up as we made our way up the stairs to the stage. I sat down, and as they gave their retiring remarks, I began to realize just exactly what was going on. I was no longer just a part of the crowd. I was a leader. I, the lone freshman sitting up on that stage, realized just exactly what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. It didn't matter what the organization, it didn't matter what the requirements. I wanted to be a leader. During my time in the FFA, I've realized something really important. In order to be a truly successful leader, you have to be a cut above the rest. All of us here this morning are exactly that, a cut above the rest. It doesn't matter how old you are, how many contests you've won, or even the offices you've held. We're all here now because we represent the best of what our state has to offer. I may not be the oldest or most experienced person standing up here speaking to you this morning, but I am a leader. It doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter what you haven't done. What matters is what drives you, what motivates you to push to that next level. For me, it's the thought of being a part of the best organization our state has to offer. The opportunities laid out for me and for each and every one of you by the FFA are truly endless. And it takes much more than just experience to be a good leader. It takes compassion, it takes truth, and most of all, it takes a passion for what you, for what I, and for what all of us believe in. Thank you.
Our final candidate is Miss Eliza Petrie.
They tell you you will always remember the first time you meet the love of your life. For me? Oh yeah, that is for sure. Oh, his name? You guys probably don't know him. He's just a little known country act named Dierks Bentley. Last spring break, my dad surprised me with Matt Kearney tickets at the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville, Tennessee, the true church of country music. Now, during the intermission of the show, I noticed someone sitting 2 rows in front of me in the audience. It was none other than the Dierks Bentley. So I gathered all of my courage and made my way to go talk to him, but when I got to him, he was having a conversation with someone, so I patiently waited for him to be done. When
when I was about to go and shake his hand, a lady from behind me budges me, cuts me off right when I'm about to meet the love of my life. So I decided to wait yet again for him to be done. When it was finally my turn and I was about to go up and meet him, the lights go down in the auditorium and the show is ready to begin. My heart sank to my feet and I was about to turn to go back to my seat when I felt someone grab my hand. It was him. He grabbed my hand with two hands, looked into my eyes and says, "Dirks." And I say, I know, enjoy the show. And I was on cloud 9 as I walked back to my seat. Now, out of this experience, I did learn a couple things. Number one, do not budge people. It is extremely rude. And number two, sometimes it is okay to not stand off to the side and patiently wait. Illinois FFA, I am not patiently waiting this time. My name is Eliza Petrie, and I am ready for you to shake my hand, introduce yourself, and allow me the honor to serve you as your 2018-2019 Illinois FFA Association State President. Thank you so much.
Let's give a round of applause to all 10 candidates for the office of State FFA President as they exit the stage. Mr. Secretary, please read the list of qualified candidates for the office of State FFA President that have met the rules and policies established by Illinois Association FFA.
The qualified candidates for State FFA President as they appear on the ballot are Sophia Horton, Reed Jostes, Shaylee Clinton, Kylie Miller, Clayton Blunier, Taylor Hartke, Jacob Young, Miriam Hoffman, Sean Welsh, and Eliza Petrie.
Mr. Secretary, in the Illinois Association FFA, major state officers must be elected by a majority vote, and a majority vote has not been reached for this office. We must continue until a majority vote has been reached. After viewing the votes, it is the chair's recommendation to keep the top 7 candidates and drop the bottom 3 candidates. Mr. Secretary, could you please read the candidates we'll be voting on for the office of State FFA President?
The candidates you will be voting on for the office of State FFA President in the order they are listed on the ballot are Sophia Horton, Reed Jostes, Shaylee Clinton, Clayton Blunier, Miriam Hoffman, Sean Welsh, and Eliza Petrie.
The Illinois Association FFA major state officers must be elected by a majority vote, and a majority vote has not yet been reached for this office. We must continue to vote until majority has been reached. After reviewing the votes, it is the chair's recommendation to drop the bottom 3 and keep the top 4 candidates for the office of State FFA President.
The candidates you will be voting on for the office of State FFA President in the order they are listed on the ballot are Sophia Horton, Shaylee Clinton, Clayton Blunier, and Eliza Petrie. The candidates you will be voting on for the office of State FFA President in order they are listed on the ballot are Sophia Horton and Clayton Blunier.
Would my fellow officers please join me on stage? In the Illinois Association FFA, major state officers must be elected by a majority vote, and a majority vote has been reached for this office. And now, the first moment you've all been waiting for. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2018-2019 Illinois Association FFA State President is Sophia Horton!
Illinois FFA, thank you so much. I can't wait this year make a difference for agriculture, for FFA, and for everyone in our lives. Thank you to my mom, my family, my mentors, anyone that has helped me throughout this journey. This is so awesome. I cannot wait for the year to come. Thank you so much.
Candidates will have the opportunity to give 1-minute remarks for Vice President. Candidates, you may be seated. You will be provided with 1-minute remarks. When you have 30 seconds remaining, I will stand up. When you have 10 seconds remaining, I will walk over to you. The mic will shut off once you have exceeded 1 minute. Our first candidate for Illinois FFA State Vice President is Reed Jostis.
We have all been in that awkward spot of telling our parents about something we either did or didn't do. Whether it was telling mine that I packed my truck into a tree or that I just forgot to do the laundry, I've been in that situation plenty of times. But the hardest was telling my dad, who was also the head coach of our school's very successful football team, that I was going to raise livestock and join FFA instead of the football team. After that crucial conversation, though, things started to change. I started to figure out who I was and what my true potential was. I learned what I was capable of, and so can all of you. Elect me, Reed Jostis, as your Illinois Association FFA State Vice President, and I'll help show each of you what your true potential is. Thank you.
Our next candidate for Illinois FFA State Vice President is Ms. Shaylee Clinton.
1,102 pounds. That is the world record amount of weight lifted by a single person. 11 pounds heavier than the colossal squid. This record belongs to 11-time world's strongest man, Eddie the Beast Hall. The Beast, daring this world record deadlift, burst blood vessels in his head and nearly died. While we might not be facing challenges quite like that, attempts like my experiences with ag sales, trying other CDEs, or even running for chapter office can test us. Stacy Burr once said, "If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you." If you elect me as your vice president, I vow to push you out of your comfort zone so that you can grow as a leader. We may not be lifting 1,100 pounds, but we can sure try. Thank you.
Our next candidate for Illinois FFA State Vice President is Ms. Kylie Miller.
Matthew 5:16 says, "Let your light shine." We are all unique, just like the fireworks in the sky on 4th of July, or a spotlight shining bright when you're catfishing on a late night. Even though these two lights are completely different, they have the same mission: to break through the darkness and light up the sky, just like all of us. Even though we have different goals in life, and we're probably even on different paths, we can have the same mission: live to serve, leave a legacy, and impact our organization. Illinois FFA, vote Kylie Miller, and this year we will light up the sky. Thank you.
Your next candidate for Illinois FFA State Vice President is Mr. Clayton Blunier.
Okay, so throughout our lives, we are constantly told that there are only two possible ways to look at life. We either see the glass as half full, or we see the glass as half empty. There's no third answer. I disagree with that. There's always a third choice. When we choose to look at the experience rather than the outcome, we find the true purpose of the glass. Let's say it's a CDE, or an officer election, or any situation you are going through. We always have that third choice. Illinois FFA, let's choose to look at the glass as holding water, and let's drink it and refill it with something new. My name is Clayton Blunier, and I am so excited to be here as a candidate for your next state vice president. Thank you.
Before we head to the next candidate, I would like to remind all delegates to please turn off all cellular devices. Thank you. Our next candidate for Illinois FFA State Vice President is Ms. Taylor Hartke.
Dr. Seuss once said, "You're off to great places, today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way." If elected as your state vice president, I would work to make sure that we, Illinois FFA, are on our way up, seeing great sights, and soaring to new heights. Our state is full of amazing and passionate FFA members because we all have brains in our heads, feet in our shoes, and we can steer ourselves any direction we choose. I cannot wait to see what direction our state will choose so that we can attend more, achieve more, or maybe even try some green eggs and ham. If elected as your vice president, I would work to ensure that all FFA members are getting out there and meeting others, because a person is a person, no matter how small. Now, we may not be on Mulberry Street, but we will succeed, 98 3/4% guaranteed. My name is Taylor Hartke, and I would love to serve as your 2018-19 state vice president. Thank you.
Our next candidate for Illinois FFA State Vice President is Mr. Jacob Young.
I'm sure we've all had a parent as a coach at some point in life. Man, isn't it frustrating. I remember one thing my dad used to tell me all the time before I took the mound during a baseball game. He said, "Give it 110%. And I'd just shake my head and think to myself, it's not possible to have more than 100%. It wasn't until many years later that I learned what this meant and realized that you cannot fully understand it until you find what you're willing to give 110% for. Giving 110% means that no matter how tired you are, you keep going. When you have bad days and disappointments, you keep going. When you feel like you're on empty and cannot possibly have any more to give, you give it your all one more time. It means that we can always do more than what we think we can. Illinois FFA, you are what I'm willing to give 110% for. Elect me, Jacob Young, as your next state vice president, and together we will give our all for the organization that we believe in. Thank you.
Your next candidate for the office of Illinois FFA State Vice President is Ms. Miriam Hoffman.
Success is based on a spiritual quality, the power to inspire others. I believe these words from the legendary football coach Vince Lombardi perfectly describe what it means to be a leader in the FFA. In fact, these 5 major state officers over the past year have each inspired me and countless other members. Whether it was learning that sometimes you just gotta send it, to understanding that positivity is often a responsibility. The lessons I've learned from these 5 officers have had an incredible impact on my leadership. Think about it. The FFA is a lot like a relay race, as older members continue passing the baton to younger members while we all seek true success. Vote Miriam Hoffman for Vice President this morning, and we'll hit the ground running, catch that baton, and make our part in this race the best yet. Thank you.
Thank you. Your next candidate for Illinois FFA State Vice President is Mr. Sean Welch.
Serving as chapter vice president this past year, I've learned it's an office that doesn't always get the recognition it deserves. You spend all your time trying to make sure things run smoothly, whether it be a chapter fundraiser or a meeting, but at the end of the day, it's the president that usually gets most of the credit. Serving as state vice president is no different. It'll take a lot of work, yes, but every good officer team needs someone like me who's willing to put in that extra work to make sure things run right. If elected your next state vice president, I may not be in every picture or every video. Lord knows I don't have the face for it. But you can bet I'll be standing right by Sophie's side the entire time, making sure things run right. I'm ready to serve, and I can, by being elected your next state vice president. Thank you.
Your next candidate for Illinois FFA State Vice President is Ms. Eliza Petrie.
Be careful and call me if you need anything.
Those were the words my dad said to me right after he had just taught me how to drive my first tractor. Now, I did not plan on calling him because I could do it myself, right? Well, if you've ever driven a tractor before, you know how important it is to slowly take your foot off the clutch when you're in high gear. Well, inexperienced me did not realize this. I shifted her up in high gear and took my foot off the clutch so quick that the tractor lunged forward. The two front tires went high up into the air as I held on for dear life. Now, I guarantee it was not that dramatic, but being that it was the first time in that tractor seat, it was pretty frightening. Illinois FFA, unlike my first tractor experience, I have listened and I have learned, and I am now ready to serve as your 2018-2019 State Vice President. Thank you so much.
The American flag and let's give one more final click with the number of which you want to vote for the office of State Vice President. Mr. Secretary, would you please read the names of the candidates for Illinois FFA State Vice President?
The candidates you will be voting on for the office of State FFA Vice President in the order they are listed on the ballot are Shaylee Clinton, Clayton Bluenier, Taylor Hartke, Miriam Hoffman, Sean Welsh, and Eliza Petrie.
Candidates for Illinois FFA State Vice President.
The candidates you'll be voting on for the office of State FFA Vice President in the order they are listed on the ballot are Shaylee Clinton, Clayton Bluenier, and Eliza Petrie.
Mr. Secretary, could you please read the name of the candidates for State Vice President?
The candidates you will be voting on for the office of State FFA Vice President in the order they are listed on the ballot are Clayton Bluenier and Eliza Petrie.
Candidate, would my fellow officers please join me on stage? In the Illinois Association FFA, major state officers must be elected by a majority vote, and a majority vote has been reached for this office.
Illinois FFA, your 2018-2019 State Vice President is Eliza Petrie.
Thank you so much, Illinois FFA. I have so many people that I want to thank for bringing me here and making me the person I am. My advisor, Mrs. Page, and my best friend, my dad, my mom, my siblings, my fellow candidates, and all of you other section presidents. You guys have been my family this year, and you all mean so much to me. So thank you all so much. I'm so excited for this year.
Once again, you will be given 1-minute remarks for your state FFA reporter speeches. At 30 seconds, I will stand up. At 10 seconds, I will come forward. Once you start speaking, I will begin the timer. You may be seated. Our first candidate for state FFA reporter is Mr. Reed Justice.
As agriculturalists, it's explicitly our task to make sure that the world is fed before we ourselves ever have dinner. But more often than not, our job is a hard one, especially when you put in a full year's work on a weather who ends up with infected salivary glands just 2 weeks before a state fair. My adaptability was pushed to its limits. I had questions with no certain answers, and it was my sole responsibility to make all the right choices. As agriculturalists, we must be adaptive, but we must also be accountable for the adaptations that we make. If allowed the opportunity as your state reporter, I'll serve as a liaison between the industry and our organization, helping keep FFA relevant for the next 90 years, and hold ourselves accountable by telling the story of American agriculture and FFA to the public. Vote for me, Reed Jostis, as your Illinois Association FFA State Reporter. Thank you.
Our next candidate for State FFA Reporter is Ms. Shaylee Clinton.
One in a million. So you're telling me there's a chance, yeah. From Bruce Almighty to Dumb and Dumber, Jim Carrey is one of my favorite actors. Maybe it's because I used to look like him? Growing up, whenever my grandfather would take my photo, he would always shout the phrase, "teeth." So naturally, I assumed whenever you took a photo, you had to show as many teeth as possible. So, in any old photograph, I looked something like this. Combining that with my straight across bangs and haircut just below my ears, I was the spitting image of the preteen female version of Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber. So, tell me there's a chance and elect me, Shaylee Clinton, as your state reporter. And I'll make sure you don't look like Jim Carrey in your photos. Thank you.
Our next candidate for Illinois FFA State Reporter is Ms. Kylie Miller.
If I asked you your top 3 priorities in life, what would you say? My dad's answer to this question was FFA, faith, family, and agriculture. These 3 glow sticks I have represent your 3 priorities in life. Can you imagine how bright it would be in here if we all let our passions or priorities shine through just like these are? The only question is, are your passions or priorities shining through for the world to see? Or are they still in an unopened package just like these were a few moments ago? Illinois FFA, elect Kylie Miller for your next reporter, and we will make sure that everyone is glowing in their own special way. Thank you.
Our next candidate for Illinois FFA State Reporter is Mr. Clayton Blunier.
So, those that know me know I love a good story. There's nothing better, whether you're telling one or being told one. So, when I was little, I had a big imagination, and now I have a personality to match. And one very hot summer day, I wanted to go swimming, and my little sister did not. So, in order to convince her, I came up with this big, elaborate story about how she could be a mermaid, I could be a pirate, and together we would search the seas for treasure. Somehow that sparked something, and next thing I knew, there we were in the pool, battling sharks and diving for treasure. That's when I learned that stories have power. Illinois FFA, I would love to be a part of broadcasting our blue and gold story as your next state reporter. Thank you.
Our next candidate for Illinois FFA State Reporter is Ms. Taylor Hartke.
Imagine this. It's another day and you find yourself checking Snapchat when suddenly you hear, "What's up, Illinois FFA?" Without hesitation needed, you know that it's our very own State FFA President, Mr. Joseph Biertier speaking. You see, over the course of a year, Joey was able to find a tagline that described and motivated him to encourage others to be bold. Just like Joey, over the course of this year, I was able to find my taglines which enable me to assist others. It's not uncommon to hear me saying, "It's all about the experience," or "Every day I get to wear the blue jacket is a good day." These represent me. As your State FFA reporter, I not only want to make your time in this blue jacket all about the experience, but I want to help you create your very own taglines. Illinois FFA, let's discover our taglines together. Elect me, Taylor Hartke, as your 2018-2019 Illinois FFA State Reporter. Thank you.
Your next candidate for Illinois FFA State Reporter is Mr. Jacob Young.
FFA is one of the largest student-led organizations in the world. But what does student-led really mean? It means that we are all called to be leaders in this organization. This can be a problem, though, because many of us are unsure how to lead others or may be afraid of the possibility of failure. Now, part of student leadership is not being afraid of failure and being willing to try new things until we figure out what works. Illinois FFA, I've had my failures and learned from them to become the best leader possible. Elect me, Jacob Young, as your next state reporter, and together we will work to grow the next generation of leaders in our organization. Thank you.
Our next candidate for Illinois FFA State Reporter is Ms. Miriam Hoffman.
Y'all, I've always been just a little bit obsessed with cows. I'm confident I have more selfies with cows than with people. Because of this and my very evident love for the FFA, I have been labeled a farm nerd by a lot of my friends. But as we all know, there is so much more to FFA than just farming, and I want other people to know that too. I don't want a single person to miss out on the opportunity to be a part of this, whether we're learning about career success or singing our hearts out to Sweet Home Alabama at every single FFA dance. Elect me, and everyone will know that the FFA isn't just for farm nerds. It's for people who want to make a change in the world. My name is Miriam Hoffman, and I couldn't picture a better way to serve you than as your state reporter. Thank you.
Our final candidate for Illinois FFA State Reporter is Mr. Sean Welch.
How many of you have a photographic memory? You can see something one time and remember it for the rest of your life. I'd like to consider myself as someone with a selective photographic memory. Rather than remembering math problems or something else actually important, I remember all of the great memories I've had while wearing this jacket. Winning section public speaking my junior year. Walking across this very stage to receive my state degree. Coming back a year later to run for state office. If given the chance, I bet I could write an entire novel about all of the experiences I've had in this jacket and all the great ones to come. But wait, right now for a one-day limited time offer, I'll let you give me that chance by electing me your next state reporter. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, delegates, please cast your vote with the number corresponding with the candidate you wish to vote for the office of State FFA Reporter. Please cast your clickers towards the American flag. Mr. Secretary, would you please read the names of the candidates for Illinois FFA State Reporter?
The candidates you will be voting on for the office of State FFA Reporter in the order they are listed on the ballot are Shaylee Clinton, Clayton Blunier, Taylor Hartke, Miriam Hoffman, and Sean Welsh.
Mr. Secretary, please read the names of the candidates for Illinois FFA State Reporter.
The candidates you will be voting on for the office of State FFA Reporter in the order they are listed on the ballot are Shaylee Clinton and Clayton Blunier.
Would my fellow officers please join me on stage? In the Illinois Association FFA, major state officers must be elected by a majority vote, and a majority vote has been reached for this office.
And now, the third moment we've all been waiting for. Your 2018-2019 State FFA Reporter is Shaylee Clinton.
blessing me with this blue jacket and this amazing organization. Thank you for putting your trust in me, and I promise that I will work my hardest to serve you. I want to thank my parents, thank my runner Wyatt Capps, my mentor Renee Barr, and of course my amazing advisors, Mr. Cabot and Mr. Agier. Thank you for pushing me to be the best and teaching me how to honor God through serving others. Thank you.
Candidates, you may be seated. Once again, you'll be given 1 minute to present your remarks. At 30 seconds, I will stand up. When there are 10 seconds remaining, I will walk forward. Our first candidate for the office of State FFA Secretary is Mr. Reed Justice.
We all have that one friend who is off the wall crazy and always brings a life to the party. That one friend for me is Haley. In September, Haley tried taking on limbo at our school's field day and instead ended up in the back end of an ambulance after snapping her hip. Fast forward a few weeks and National Convention rolled around. And I mean literally rolled around for Haley because she was in a wheelchair. Most people would have been frustrated to the point of staying home, but not Haley. Even with her wheelchair, Haley had a blast at convention and showed all of us that most obstacles really are just mental. Haley has started a chain reaction the day that she decided to take on limbo, and so can all of us. Small actions, when multiplied by thousands of people, transform the world. And that's what I plan to do as your state secretary. Make the small actions that with your guys' help will transform the world. Elect me, Reed Justice, as your Illinois Association FFA.
Our next candidate for State FFA Secretary is Ms. Kylie Miller.
Candidates, delegates, FFA members, and guests, I have a few questions for us. Stand up if anyone has ever inspired you. Now please sit down. Stand up if you are past, present, or future Illinois FFA member and you want to impact someone's life. You can please sit down. Whether you guys realize it or not, it showed that someone got you here today, and you're not stopping after this day is over. We are Illinois FFA, so we're not stopping. We are going to leave an impact on the next generation. Illinois FFA, vote Kylie Miller, and together we will leave an impact. Thank you.
Our next candidate for Illinois FFA State Secretary is Mr. Clayton Balloonier.
So I have a question. Who is having a blast at this session? That's right. Yeah, me too. So I'm gonna start. I want to tell you a little story. I once knew a track runner who always tried his best, gave it 100%, ran his hardest at every practice, but he never got better. At one of his track meets, his coach was talking to one of the coaches from a bigger, more competitive school. And the coach from the big school said, you know what? Every single member on my team is a better runner than that student. But I wish I had one, just one, who ran with the heart that he does. Illinois FFA, I am so ready to wholeheartedly run this FFA race with you as your next state secretary. Thank you.
Our next candidate for Illinois FFA State Secretary is Ms. Taylor Hartke.
Warriors, pirates, Indians, and eagles. Different places select mascots to set themselves apart. They take what their mascot is, they learn from it, become like it, and represent it. My hometown is a little different though, as we are the Wooden Shoes. I thought to myself, how do I possibly represent and become a wooden shoe? Over time, I began to realize the lessons that I could learn from this unique mascot. I learned that just as there are many different types of shoes, there are many different aspects of our lives that make up who we are. I wear the wooden shoe for my school. I wear different shoes when I dance, and I wear the black heels with FFA. All of these shoes make up who I am. Illinois FFA, what do you represent? What is your shoe? My name is Taylor Harkey, and I would love to be your wooden shoe that'll lead and guide you. As your state secretary, I would walk 500 miles for you, and I promise I would be a perfect fit. Thank you, and elect me Taylor Harkey.
Our next candidate for State FFA Secretary is Mr. Jacob Young.
Living to serve. Now, service can mean a number of different things. For some, like myself, it means serving the members of this organization. It means leading us into the future. For others, service can be to our communities. From collecting canned goods for a local food drive to shoveling a neighbor's snow in the winter. As FFA members, we are all entrusted to help those around us. Finally, like my dad, service can be to this country. Being willing to lay down your life for the protection of others is something that not all of us might be willing to give. And yet many have died in order for us to be here today. No matter who we are all called to serve in some way. It is our service that may enable others to accomplish great things. Illinois FFA, elect me, Jacob Young, as your next state secretary, and I will live to serve the members of this organization as we move into the future to achieve great things. Thank you.
Your next candidate for State FFA Secretary is Ms. Miriam Hoffman.
Remember the first time you saw your jacket? You're sitting in ag class and your advisor pulls it out of the box. Crisp, new, and with your name on it. You put it on, you zip it up, and you just can't help but smile. Look around this convention hall at all these people. What connects us? At the surface, it's this jacket. And while this might seem a little corny, I want you to lend me your ear for just a moment. You see, we're all united from section to section and from state to state because of the corn plant and our mutual desire to succeed in everything that we do. Elect me, Miriam Hoffman, as your state secretary, and together in these jackets, we will grow our potential from that tiny little corn seed to a full-blown and thriving 12-foot-tall corn stalk. Thank you.
Your final candidate for State FFA Secretary is Mr. Sean Welch.
Advocating for the issues facing the agriculture industry is a major part of the FFA. As secretary, it would be my job to speak with members and help them advocate in the best way we know how, by telling our FFA story. It sounds hard, I know, but hey, come here. I'm gonna let you all in on a little secret. This jacket, it does most of the work for us. Every square inch can help us tell our FFA story. My story is larger than life, and my jacket, well, let's just say it's not a whole lot smaller than that. How will you tell your FFA story? I know how I want to tell mine, and I can by serving as your next state secretary. Thank you.
Take your clickers and press the number corresponding with the candidate with which you wish to vote for the office of Illinois FFA State Secretary. Mr. Secretary, could you please read the names of the qualified candidates for Illinois FFA State Secretary?
The candidates you will be voting on for the office of State FFA Secretary in the order they are listed on the ballot are Clayton Blunier, Taylor Hartke, Miriam Hoffman, and Sean Welsh.
And a majority vote has not yet been reached for this office. Mr. Secretary, please read the names of the candidates for the Illinois FFA State Secretary.
The candidates you will be voting on for the office of State FFA Secretary in the order they are listed on the ballot are Clayton Blunier and Miriam Hoffman.
Would my fellow officers please join me on stage? In the Illinois Association FFA, major state officers must be elected by a majority vote, and a majority vote has been reached for this office.
And now, the fourth moment you've all been waiting for. Your 2018-2019 Illinois FFA State Secretary is Miriam Hoffman.
Y'all, thank you so much for this opportunity. First off, I want to thank my mom, my sister, and the rest of my family. I know my brother's at home cultivating corn right now, and I want to thank them all for milking my cows for this next year. Thank you to all of you for believing in me and trusting me to serve you this next year. Thank you to my chapter, my advisor, all my friends from my section, and from across this state. Thank you, and I love y'all.
Candidates, you may be seated. Once again, you will give 1-minute remarks. When you are at the 30-second mark, I will stand up. When you have 10 seconds remaining, I will walk over to you. Our first candidate for Illinois FFA State Treasurer is Mr. Reed Joseph.
It's time, once again, for every FFA member's favorite event, State Convention. And just like on Fortnite, everyone hops out of the bus and goes and finds their favorite spot. If you think about it, State Convention is actually a lot like Fortnite. Between the colleges fighting over members and members fighting over free stuff, this is just like Fortnite. So Illinois FFA, give me the victory royale and make me your Illinois Association FFA State Treasurer. Thank you.
Your next candidate for Illinois FFA State Treasurer is Ms. Kylie Miller.
Imagine a light breaking through the darkness. Now imagine in the background the song is playing. When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Okay, I'm gonna stop singing because I need you all to stay here. But we've got the gist, the light's shining, and the music is playing. Illinois FFA, that's our shooting star, and this is our song. Because this is our year. We're going to reach our dreams as far as our eyes can see. We're going to use our skills, our abilities, and our God-given talents to inspire others and impact this organization. Vote Kylie Miller. Thank you.
Your next candidate for Illinois FFA State Treasurer is Mr. Clayton Blunier.
So here we are at the very last round. And some of us may be losing our motivation out here in the crowd. You are so tired of hearing those dreaded words, a majority has not yet been reached. Guess what? We're tired of waiting too. So, if you want a quote to live by, try this one. Our motivation needs to be treated like deodorant. If we don't put it on every single day, life stinks. Illinois FFA, my name is Clayton Blunier, and I would be honored to serve you as your next State Treasurer. Thank you.
Your next candidate for Illinois FFA State Treasurer is Ms. Taylor Hartke.
There I was, myself all alone with my 3 quadruplet brothers teaming up against me and a single door in our way. As I stood there with fear in my eyes, I watched as my siblings used their strength and teamwork to hold my hand at the door and slam it. In that given moment, I knew that I couldn't just give up. I had to persevere, compromise, and work to find a solution so that we could all be on the same page again. Since then, my brothers and I have been able to work together, for the most part, and when we do, we seem to get a lot more accomplished. Just like my brothers and I, when we Illinois FFA members work together, we will accomplish so much more. Illinois FFA, don't slam the door on me like my brothers did. Instead, elect me, Taylor Harkey, as your 2018-2019 Illinois FFA State Treasurer.
Your next candidate for Illinois FFA State Treasurer is Mr. Jacob Young.
A leader is best when the people barely know he exists. When the work is done and the goal is accomplished, the group will say, "We did it together." This is what it means to truly lead by example. Junior year, after not being selected for a chapter office, I became this kind of leader. I learned that in reality, titles do not matter. Everyone, no matter who they are, must work together in order to achieve the goals of the group. I learned that when you truly lead by example, you are not better than those you are working with, even though you may have a title to your name. If elected your state treasurer, I will have a title to my name. However, that title is not who I will be. I will still be an FFA member, no different than everyone in this room. But together, we will work to achieve things that many believe are impossible. We will work to grow the next generation of leaders for our organization. Let's do this together. Elect me as your next state treasurer. Thank you.
Our final candidate for Illinois FFA State Treasurer is Mr. Sean Welch.
In Illinois, it's pretty clear we have just a little problem with money. Jobs and businesses are leaving, but do you all know what the #1 industry in the state of Illinois is? That's right, agriculture. By promoting agriculture education, we're bringing more jobs into the state, more taxpayers, and more mouths to feed. That's more money for farmers and more money for the state. There you go, in less than, well, Joey just stood up. So in a little more than 30 seconds, I just solved the state's budget crisis. I guess it's only fitting then that you elect me your next state treasurer. Thank you.
Mr. Secretary, would you please read the names of the candidates for Illinois FFA State Treasurer?
The candidates you will be voting on for the office of State FFA Treasurer in the order they are listed on the ballot are Clayton Blunier, Taylor Hartke, and Sean Welch.
In the Illinois Association FFA, major state officers must be elected by a majority vote, and a majority vote has not yet been reached for this office. Mr. Secretary, please read the name of the candidates for Illinois FFA State Treasurer.
The candidates that you will be voting on for the office of State FFA Treasurer in the order they are listed on the ballot are Clayton Blunier and Taylor Hartke.
Would my fellow officers please join me on stage? In the Illinois Association FFA, major state officers must be elected by a majority vote, and a majority vote has been reached for this office.
Illinois FFA, the final moment we have all been waiting for. Your 2018-2019 Illinois Association FFA State Treasurer is Taylor Hartke.
without you and just making it all about the experience. Thank you. I sincerely appreciate absolutely everything.
Illinois FFA, today history has been made. It is my distinct privilege and honor to introduce to you for the first time your 2018-2019 Illinois FFA Major State Officer Team. I now declare this election session adjourned.